Hi there. Thank you very much for joining us today. Tonight's lecture is about the continuous improvement in education. How do we do continuous improvement? How do we improve continuously when we teach students, when we uh, practice our educational deliveries to our students? So let's have a look at it. Now, the main point is this: individuals, as an individual, you need to develop yourself. You need to get yourself improved. You should be better than yesterday today. It should be better tomorrow than today. It is very important, and this is what that keeps you surviving or living your position, your career in your personal life. That's why we call this CPD, continuous professional development. We call this in organizations. They talk about this. If you're an accountant, you have to go for your CPD, continuous professional development. If you're a lecturer, you have to go through this continuous professional development. If you're an IT specialist, you have to go through this continuous professional development CPD. The same way we talk about the same story here, continuous improvement in our education practices. So what is it and how do we do this? To study this, let me teach you two theories. The first theory is Deming cycle. This is the theory. This was developed by him, and we'll see what it is. And this theory is known as PDCA, plan, do, check, and act. Okay, so this model is continuous improvement model. If you want to improve yourself, if you want to improve your company, if you want to improve your delivery, if you want to improve your service, if you want to improve anything, any aspect in your life, if you apply this, it may be possible. It is a great tool. So we'll see what it is. Now, plan is the initial part of it, planning about your continuous improvement. So you got to definitely identify a problem. Then you have to set some goals to get out of that problem, improve yourself so that you can easily face that problem. So identify the problem first. Okay. In your education, for example, let's say the teaching method that you use, you may use certain teaching technologies or educational tech or teaching methodologies. You might use some devices, some internet software applications, and so on. Though you use all of these, your students might not be comfortable learning this, so that you have a problem here. So identify the problem, identify where the problem is, identify where you are lacking behind, identify your weak, where you are weak at. So identify that first. When you have the clear definition of your problem, now you can set a goal that I want to get out of this. Let's say if your device is not working, you may use some other different devices. If your application is not working, you may add up some different new application. If you don't have certain materials, the materials that you have to teach your students, if it is not working, if it is not the right one, you may have to design some new materials to teach. So this is what we talk about, the identification of problem. And you set a goal. I need to develop some new application. I need to add up some new application, and I have to learn that application. I have to get these students familiar to this application, and I have to use this application to teach. This is your goal. If it is with your teaching material, you may set some goals within next week. I have to develop some teaching materials. It has certain different things that you need to teach your students, and you have to apply that material to teach your students. This is setting goal. So anything, any problem you find out, any weaknesses that you find out in your educational practices, you may clearly define this is a problem. And after that, set some goals to come out of that problem. Set some goals to come out of that problem. That is what the planning is about. So planning means identify a problem and set some goals to come out of that problem. And after you set your plan, the next thing is about implementation, taking the execution. So you implement it. Let's say I have a plan to introduce or to produce some new teaching materials. So that's the plan. Now what I do, I have to produce that materials. I have to make those materials. I have to create those materials. I have to design those materials. That is what the implementation is about. Okay, there are examples in here. It may be some new teaching methods. It may be some classroom activities or some technology. And as I told you that we had some visitors from the UK, our educational business partners, our allies, and the guy was having a lesson here that we were teaching him as to how to use our LMS, as to how to use the online platforms, Zoom and Teams. We were teaching him, and he had a lesson from us because he was trying to start some teaching things for his students over there. So we found out some new ways to teach those kind of things. So we implemented it, and we set a goal because we had some problems in delivering those things on those platforms in those countries. So we have identified the problem, and we set some goals, and we implemented, and it is done. Now he has left us. He's arrived in the UK already, and he's going to apply those. He's going to do what we taught him. Okay, this is what the new technology is about. Classroom activities, again, as I told you, your teaching materials can be designed, and then you can bring those designs and you can teach those. You can try those teaching materials to teach your students. Okay, so there are examples. And after you do this implementation, it is not enough. You have to definitely analyze the results. Analyze the results. You have to check it. You have to analyze the result. Now, if I explain this using an example, let's say, for example, if you're trying to reduce some weight from your personal body, your body, you may do some exercise. Your dietitian, your gym trainer may give you some exercise, may give you some schedule, some gym plan so that you follow those things. If you take action, if you implement that, that's fine. But you have to definitely check the result, whether the gym exercise you do, the food cuts that you do, the diet you maintain, do they work? Do they give you the result? Are you getting in shape? Are you losing weight? You have to check your results. If your result is showing positively, if you are happy about it, it's fine. Otherwise, you may have to redefine your strategies, your actions, your implementations. That is when you can get a result. So we need result. If you have a problem in your teaching, you may set some goals and you implement those actions to achieve your goals. When you achieve your goals, you should definitely check the result of it. Okay. So if you don't analyze it, you don't check it, it is you are not tracking what's happening, and that is useless because you do things, you don't get the result. What's the point of it? You put some salt inside your curry, in your curry pot. If you don't get the taste of salt, no point of putting salt. Okay, so that is what we talk about the check. Next thing is about the action part here. When you check it, if you find the result is okay, your KPIs, key performance indicators, if they are okay, if you are happy about the result that you get because of your implementation, that's fine. However, if you don't find the result the way you want, if you have some, if you're not happy about the result, the next thing is about to make some adjustments in your goals, adjustments in your implementation, so that you can see whether this new adjustment works with you. Okay, so what you do to improve anything, you plan. When I mean plan, you have to identify the problem and set some goals to get out of the problem. That's the first thing you do. After setting it, you have to implement that plan, meaning you execute what is planned. And when you do this execution, you will get some result out of it, and you have to check the result because the result you are expecting, we don't know until you check it. So you have to check it. If the result is happening, yes. If the result is not happening, you may have to do some adjustments. And I mean the adjustment, that is when I talk about action here, you have to definitely do some adjustments on your implementation if you don't get the result what you want. Okay, let me take some examples in here to explain this in detail. A teacher, she or he notices that students struggle with particular methods, a particular math concept. Okay, she's teaching some mathematical concept and the students have some struggles understanding it. If you notice this, you have to improve your teaching with this math concept. So what do you plan? The teacher develops new instructional materials and interactive activities. That's the plan. Okay, so you identified the problem. What's the problem? Students have problem in understanding certain math concepts. So you plan. What is the plan? You develop some new instructional materials and some interactive activities. That is the plan. After you develop this, you bring those to the classroom and you teach it. Okay, the new teaching approach is implemented. You go to the classroom with these instructional materials and interactive activities, and you teach them. That's the part we call do. When you do this, you have to check. Check means you have to check the understanding of the students. Do they understand now? The understanding of them has it improved. That is what you have to check. And if you are happy about it, that's okay. If the students still struggle, the lecturer has to do some adjustments and redefine, fine tune the approach and try it again. So this continuous improvement is an on and on process. You do something and you check it. If it doesn't work, you do something more than that or something different to that, and you check it again. That is what it happens. Right. So that was an example of a classroom. Now here, curriculum development. This is again, you have to regularly update curriculum to align with industry trends and global standards. So to do this, you may do lots of stuffs. You can ensure your courses are relevant. You have a competency-based teaching, skill-oriented maybe. You can incorporate experiential learning so that you can allow students to go for some internship, some project-based learning as well. These are all stuffs that we can do so that we can develop and enhance the curriculum that we teach. Faculty development, lecturer training, as I told you before, lecturers, you have to definitely develop yourself as a lecturer, your CPD, and that will improve the delivery of you to your students. So you have to continuously do your professional development plans. We can teach our lecturers as to how to maintain the quality of teaching, as to how to make teaching materials. You can train them to use new technology. Actually, I can tell you some examples. Earlier days, we used PowerPoint, Microsoft PowerPoint, to develop teaching presentations. But today, we have hundreds of different options apart from Microsoft PowerPoint. You can get use of to develop your teaching materials. That gives you the structure of your presentation. That gives you an easy way to bring in images to your presentation. That gives you easy way to bring in videos to play on your presentation itself. There are so many things that's coming up. So these can be taught for lecturers to develop them personally. Okay, so these are all things that we can do for continuous development, improvement. And more examples, technology integration. We can talk about this for a while. We can implement learning management system with content on it, better content on it to deliver the course. Okay, so we can teach them the new features of LMS, learning management system, new features of it. We can bring in new softwares or new applications that has new latest technology based delivery, content management. We can use AI driven analytics for tracking students' progress. Now, LMS, we have given me the LMS access, and I don't know how many of you have visited at least once, and we don't know how many times you have visited. How often do you visit? How often do you download documents and materials to learn from? We can actually track it. We can tell you when was your last login. We can tell you how many times you have logged in so far, and we can tell you how many documents you have downloaded. Everything we can track. Okay, these things can be improved so that we can see how students work. Okay, right, and there are so many areas that we can talk about, right? More examples, let's say collaboration and industry partnership. This will help you to improve your teaching content, teaching technology, the labor market demand skills as well. Okay, so for this, we have ideas. Partner with businesses for internship. When you're teaching some business, when you're teaching some education for your students, universities can partner with other teaching institutions so that they can go and do some teaching. For example, some universities, if you do some IT training or IT diploma, they ask you to complete 40 hours of IT training or IT teaching from a different school so that you can bring in the real world exposure to your learning. This will help you to improve your teaching. This will help you to improve your learning as well. Okay, and you can bring in host or guest lecturers. Okay, without using the same lecturer all the time, you can bring in different lecturers from the industry, so they can give you the industry exposure. Okay, you can bring the students for industry visits. You can bring them. Let's say if you are a university, if you are teaching some business, you can bring those students to a big business factory, big business office, and you can show them what's happening inside that organization. That is industry visits. Okay, so these are all things that we can use to develop our teaching, to improve our teaching. All right, so there are so many. That is one model, and we have another model that we'll be having an understanding of, is a lecture on this one in the next lecture. That is total quality management. I'll cover this in the next lecture. So thank you very much for joining us. I see you in the next lecture. Thank you.